All right, before we get started today, we wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to our patrons over at Patreon. We have Andy Herbrand, Eric Sari, and Lauren L. Remember, they're the ones kind of supporting, keeping the beer fridge stocked, so that way we can maintain our energy through all of this. And you, too, could become a Patreon supporter. Head over to WisconsinDrunkenHistory.com to find out more. Hey, welcome to the Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast. We are your hosts, Eric Sturgeon.
And I'm Russell Sari.
This podcast is about all things Wisconsin: history, music, culture, and beer. Although we don't often use strong language, the content is not intended for young audiences, so listener discretion is advised.
If you love the bluegrass music you hear in this intro, please check out Dang It's from Madison, Wisconsin by visiting their website, dang-its.com. Now on to the show.
Alrighty then. Welcome. Welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast, your weekly dose of the Dairy State. Today's episode is another part of the state's rich history with the circus.
Ooh.
We are talking about the very first circus to come to our state, the Mabie brothers. Or is it Mabie? Maybe?
It's Mabie Brothers, actually. Yep.
The Mabie Brothers Circus. And we have great Wisconsin music in this episode from Nickel and Rose. We have another beer review.
Woo.
We have another installment of How Many Locos You Ant, as well as a special interview with Leinenkugel.
Oh my gosh.
More importantly, Katie Leinenkugel.
Holy cow.
Very, very excited for that. As always, we hate beating a dead horse, but if you have time, please go on, rate, like, review, subscribe, do all those things on all of the different streaming platforms. And we're going to go ahead and tell you right now, the key ones: subscribe on YouTube, and if you could review us on Apple Podcast.
Huge.
Those two things are going to help potentially make this thing just explode. And we promise, even when we become super, super famous and really good at stuff, we will keep a level head and we'll keep the show exactly how it is.
Exactly.
So, hey, head over to WisconsinDrunkenHistory.com, where you can find all of our social media, all of our apparel and swag through the TeePublic, and you can even check out Patreon to see exactly how you can do a little bit additional work to help keep us kind of employed here in this job that doesn't pay.
Yeah. We still love it, though, right? I mean, it's beer and it's just fun.
It's just
honestly.
about the fun.
It's fun.
So without any further ado, we will jump into the main segment, which again is about the Mabie Brothers Circus.
So we've already covered probably the most famous circus, the Ringling Brothers, right? And have yet to do an episode on the Barnum and the W.C. Coop episodes, which we are going to do, you know. And however, one of the first original circuses to pop up in the Delavan area was a lesser known and slightly obscure and truly very first circus to come to Wisconsin. We, of course, are talking about the Mabie Brothers Circus. So like many of the circuses that were first started, were actually located in the southern portion of New York State. The Mabie brothers were in the same boat as brothers Jeremiah and Edmund Mabie, who grew up on a small farm in the area and would start a circus. And in 1840, they did just that. Like many circuses, they started off very small, but eventually in 1847, they had a total of 27 wagons, 125 horses, and 8 elephants. Their biggest elephant being named Romeo, and was nearly 20 foot tall and weighed a total of 10,500 pounds. And just a side note and a little story on Romeo. This is a statue you're going to see in downtown Delavan, right?
Yeah, right outside of, there's a hair salon there that I might know the owner of.
Awesome. And he became known as the Killer Elephant, actually. And in total, he killed 5 handlers. And over 15 years, he crushed one, stomped one out, and impaled 3 on his tusks.
It doesn't sound that bad.
And
I could probably punch him out.
He ended up actually evading and escaping the circus and ran rampant around Delavan, causing devastation throughout the area. as well as nearly completely destroying a theater in the area. And his monument, like we said before, actually is right downtown with a clown underneath it, right? He's like up on his hind legs.
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
He's going to smash that clown.
He's going to smash that clown's freaking nose off. Fuck that thing. Fuck off. Fuck you. The circus would regularly tour the Midwest and would return to New York State in the winters. And in 1847, this would quickly change when the brothers were en route from Milwaukee to Janesville. The brothers would stop to hunt prairie chickens and fell in love with an area due to its lush prairie land and abundance of food. And as they stated before, it's lush. As they stated, it was lush in its primitive state. The location specifically we were talking about is the Lake Lawn Resort area, in the surrounding area, which we know really well. We're pretty much raised there.
Yeah.
They also realized it would be a perfect spot for the animals to thrive during the winters with all of the long grasses in the area. And just for reference, a normal elephant consumes about 200 pounds of hay and 50 gallons of water every single day.
Holy shit.
That's a lot, right?
50 gallons of water?
Isn't that insane? I found that out. I actually researched some of the circus history, how much elephants eat. Isn't that crazy? That's a lot. And after the two brothers decided this would be a great place for them to set up shop, it was a magnet for all of the other circuses. And they realized this was a great spot, including, as mentioned before, the W.C. Coop, which would eventually become the P.T. Barnum Circus, who we will talk about in a future episode. And 4 circuses in 1858 in total would move to the Delavan area, and this would become the stopping point and base of operation for many of the circuses. There were some smaller spin-off shows also that would arrive in the area, but not of large significance. And over the 50-year span of this area, 26 circuses would arrive in Delavan City. This didn't always sit well with the locals, and throughout all the years, because of the snake oil salesman, your generic miracle cure selling,
right,
car salesman, grease
rub this
ball,
on your elbow and
it'll make you grow 10 feet.
Yeah.
And in Delavan, at one point, the city was not only the circus capital of the nation, but it was also considered the wickedest city in Wisconsin, which is crazy.
The fuck does that mean?
I know. With all the prostitution going on at the time, it's pretty nuts, right? I mean, this is just...
This town is wicked awesome.
It's wicked sick, dude. Yeah. And the Mabie brothers were actually genuine, though, however, and would set out to change the hearts of the local people as they ran a genuine, honest show throughout the span of the history of this show, which is a lesser-known show, right? The Mabie brothers. You don't hear Mabie Brothers Circus, right?
Nope.
And they even put money back into the local economy, into the Delavan area. They bought homes in the area and established a grist mill for the local people to use, eventually settling on a total of 1,000 acres, and like stated before, included the now site of Lake Lawn Lodge. Edmund may have even become a member of the Delavan Congregational Church and served as village president and contributed to the public works around the Delavan area. He ensured the completion of a 60-mile plank road from Racine to Janesville, which helped allow the early people of the area to make their way from Delavan much easier and travel between these two locations, which were huge hubs at the time.
Yeah.
And today you can actually see some of the remnants of the town square in downtown Delavan, including the statue of the infamous Romeo, which as we talked about before, and a massive giraffe. And today is the circus capital of the world. And even though they don't technically have the Clown Circus Museum anymore, it's still a lot of people you can go and talk to in the town that remember its history. And I was lucky enough as a kid to actually be able to go and see this small museum. It was right by the old graveyard there. They had a small building we could go in. It was a Clown Circus Museum.
Perfect place to take a kid.
It was super cool as a kid. The
Clown Museum next to the graveyard.
I know I could have lied. I did not like clowns as a kid. I don't know about you. Clowns are fucked.
Clowns are fucking cool.
They're creepy, dude. I didn't like them as a kid, but at the same time, it was cool to see all the circus history as a kid. I love history.
Yeah,
even as a young kid, I loved it.
I don't like when I can't tell somebody's expressions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the one thing that gets me about most horror movies or even just like clowns in general. I don't have a crushing fear of clowns. However, I don't enjoy them because, again, I can't tell what they're fucking doing. They've got a big smile painted on their face, but are they really smiling?
Right. And as a young adult in the 90s, right? I was a young kid in the early 90s, right? We both were. We were both little tykes in the early 90s. And it was one movie, It, that scared the shit out of me. The Pennywise, Tim Curry, scared the shit out of me, so I hated clowns, right?
Yeah.
My uncle teased me all the time. My Uncle John, Dick. He's freaking scared as shit of clowns. And it was the It movie that kind of set it off, you know, in that time period. Could you imagine being a clown in the early 90s? Your career's fucked.
Oh.
Your career sucks at this point because freaking Pennywise.
Tim Curry and Stephen King totally ruined your clown career.
Georgie, fuck, my career's ruined. Cock, sucker. Just screaming at the top of your lungs and that movie came out.
You definitely don't give out red balloons anymore.
And, you know, the Mabie brothers may be a lesser-known circus, but really they have such a large history in the state, and it's the reason why many of these other big circuses came here in the first place, right?
Right. And they sort of blazed the trail here.
Exactly. And so we wanted to cover them, give you the history of Delavan, Wisconsin, how it actually became the circus capital, based on its freaking Great Prairies for the elephants and all the water in the surrounding area. Lake Lawn, there's probably elephants' trunks in that lake many a times, sucking down 50 gallons a day. It's just insane.
Yeah, that's gnarly. I do enjoy the circus history that sort of revolves around the area that we grew up in. The circus would multiple times a year come to the fairgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know you had attended. I had attended. It's definitely a unique feature. And none of the circuses really travel anymore. I don't even know if any of them still exist.
I don't know. I mean, the times are a-changing, as Bob Dylan once said. You know, it's like things are different now. People realize that animal abuse isn't cool. Right. Elephants don't need to be locked up in a small cage.
You can't call people freaks anymore, so the freak show part of the circus doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, it's definitely a cultural thing that has changed over the course of time. And you know, we're seeing that happen with even things like the big killer whale in SeaWorld, and it just, you know, I don't think a lot of these things are going to exist within the next, you know, few years, if they even still do now.
Do you remember did you see the Blackfish movie? That's freaking depressing, man. Like, honestly, like, you feel bad for those animals, and like, you know what? It is what it is. I appreciate the circus, what they did for the state, what they did, and that's why we want to cover the history. You know, the circus may go away, honestly, but we want to still have that history here in the state of Wisconsin, which there is. We'll still
talk about it, you know,
exactly,
fondly, of course.
And that's going to conclude the main segment, and now on to our music segment.
All right, so our music segment today is the band Nickel and Rose.
They're super good. Yeah, honestly, like, it's the two duo, Carl Nichols and Joanna Rose, and they're based in the Milwaukee area. And obviously they have like that folk Americana, you know, maybe that DIY, little roots in the gospel area too, you know. They're just really good. I had to reach out to them. I love them. Yeah. Like, their music is phenomenal. Another one I saw on the PBS Music Hour, just such a great band. Yeah,
and again, it's kind of neat to hear a modern take on kind of an older style of music. And they're keeping that you know, around. They're reviving, maybe even, you know, I know necessarily it hasn't gone away, but they're sort of reviving it and making it really cool again. And this is a very popular style of music right now.
It's very soulful too, and it's cool. It's right in Milwaukee, right in the backyard here, coming from Muskego hater guy. And so today we have Nickel and Rose, Hard Day's Work. Check this sucker out.
Stay with me, my Anna, on a cold day in March, up on the reservoir with a bottle of whiskey. Today we know who we are. Drive with me, my Anna, to a beach outside of town. I'll quit my job and we'll live here forever, or at least we'll live here for now. Beautiful my Anna, at a bar on Christmas Eve. mesmerized by clouds or an open country road. It's a hard day's work to see beauty when it's found in the broken people of the world. Share with me, my Anna, on a cold day in March, up on the reservoir with a bottle of whiskey. Today we know who we are. Today we know who we are. Today we know who we are.
Well. That was Nickel and Rose.
They're
A
so
Hard
good.
Day's
I
Work.
love Nickel and Rose. Folk Americana,
Yeah.
great music. Oh my god.
It has so many great influences that you can hear throughout the entire track, and it is just a very refreshing style of music. I feel better, cleaner,
So
warmer.
Can I be honest? They didn't give me a track to actually use specifically, so it took me about 2 hours to find the right song to use on this podcast. Isn't that
because
crazy?
it's
Because
difficult.
everything is just so good.
You look through the catalog, and every one that you play, you're like, "Oh, this is it." And then you're like, "But let me check out this other one. Oh shit, this one's it." Yeah.
This took me about 2 hours to find this song because I love everything that they produce. Like I said, the PBS Music Hour, just good people all around. Like it's
PBR
good,
Music Hour.
The PBS Music Hour, sorry, PBR.
No, I said PBR.
Oh, you did. Oh, the PBR Music Hour. Okay. But yeah, again, they're Milwaukee,
Professional
Wisconsin.
bull riding.
Nickel, there you go. Nickel and Rose, amazing.
Yeah.
Check them out. Bandcamp, whatever. The usual. We talk about it every time. The Facebooks.
Hit up their social media.
medias,
Yeah.
whatever. So
And-
let this be reviewed, Rip Eric. And this
Yeah.
is a greasy one, kind of.
Yeah,
But we're doing it anyways.
We're sorry, but it has to be done. Today we are reviewing a very special beer from a brewery that is very historical, let's say.
Yeah, we talked about him a little bit on episode 45 of Frederick Miller.
Yeah.
So
we are choosing to crack open a couple of Miller High Lifes.
yeah, and what can I say about Miller High Life? I've drank hundreds of these, right?
What can we say that hasn't already been said about Miller High Life?
So it's coming in at 4% per ABV, right? It's not very high on the ABVs. You can drink a ton of these. Guess what the IBUs are? Just take a guess.
Yeah,
It's
I already
low
know.
on the IBU scales. It's 7 IBUs. So there's not a lot of bittering units on this sucker.
Yeah, I've had soda that is higher in bitter units.
And what else can I say? Right, it started in New Year's Eve, 1903. The beer did. You're gonna see the lady on the moon, the icon for Miller,
Which is mysterious. Nobody knows where or why that happened. The first sighting of her on the beer or for Miller is 1907, and I mean there's literally no history as to why or where it kind of started.
She's just a woman on the moon, dude.
She's just a woman hanging out on a crescent moon.
So we're in this sucking this thing out of a bottle with the labels out, baby, today. Each bottle has about 141 calories, so it's not too bad. This one, obviously, you're getting malt up front, corn malt up front,
the malted barley,
highly carbonated. It's a champagne of beer, so you're getting that carbonation right up front. Pours a golden brown, clear, see-through. I've drank hundreds of these. I don't know what else I need to say on this beer.
Literally thousands of High Lifes.
I've
have
sucked
gone
out so many High Lifes.
in and out of my body.
Do you remember the High Life delivery guy in the old commercials in the 90s?
He passed away.
He did. That's what was super sad about
Yeah.
him. I mean, he was a huge staple
was a
in the
comedian.
early 90s. Yeah, he was awesome. And, you're getting some Galena hop. You're not getting a lot of hop flavor, but if you haven't heard of Galena, it's actually from the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of, you're barely getting a hop. It's more the maltiness up front, like any of these lagers that you're getting at these domestics. So,
yeah, and the Miller Brewing Company has their own specific yeast that they use, which is kind of specific to their whole thing. Which, I mean, yeast is a very special thing. It
adds a lot of flavor to a lot of beers, and
it does all the hard work,
And the Miller Tour, if you haven't been on it, it's one of my favorite tours, actually. You know, obviously I like lakefront. I love craft breweries more than I love domestics. But the tour is really cool. You start off in like the gift shop area, and you're going to watch like a movie, and you learn a little bit about Miller, how it all got started. You learn about Frederick Miller, which we talked about in episode 45.
Yeah.
You're going to go down the street. You're going to get to go into the old Plank Road Brewery downstairs in the barrel rooms.
Right.
Underground. You get to go to the big facility where there's just like unbelievable amounts of beer.
Mountains
of brewskis just hanging out right in front of you. You're going to see the old tanks. It's really cool because it's on that old street. Obviously, we haven't had best of luck there, but that's because of like what happened recently. Because we were going to film some promotional videos there.
Right, yeah. They had
so we haven't had the best luck.
An employee that did not exactly feel aligned with being fired and stuff, so...
But we were going to be there for 5 seconds, honestly.
Yeah.
If you've seen some of our promos and stuff we filmed, it's not very long. We just couldn't get our cameras up in time. He's like, get out of here. Hey, we don't want you here anymore. And so we left, and but we really regret it because there was some really cool, you could see the lady in the moon in the background. It was such a cool shot. I'm so bummed it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But you know,
I mean, this
it's still
beer,
Miller, right? It's Milwaukee made.
This beer is so damn iconic. Here's the thing. It's not the most special beer. It's doesn't
not,
even
no.
really taste that great. But it's so iconic, and it's so easy to drink that, you know, I find myself at bars sometimes just, hey, you know, sometimes I'll be honest, I'm a little bit shocked at how many options there are, and so I just kind of get overwhelmed, and so my mind goes directly to kind of what I know and what I feel comfortable with, and that's a Miller High Life, and again, it's not going to impress you whatsoever. It's not going to be a beer that you're like, oh wow, this is just fantastic. No, it's just it's a crisp, classic staple
straightforward Pilsner lager. It's straightforward, easy drinker. You know, you're gonna go to freaking Country Thunder. It's probably all over right now, right?
Yeah.
These things are getting distributed among everyone. Huge country fans drink a lot of High Life.
Oh yeah.
Not to be stereotypical, but it seems like it's a huge country thing. I love High Life. I mean, I love High Life too. I love Busch Light. I love shit beer. I love good beer. I love craft beer. I love anything beer. I've only had a few skunky shitbag beers in my life, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Two Hearted.
No, really.
Way too piney.
The Two Hearted Ale.
Way too piney.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's not my favorite, but it's not that bad. But again, Miller High Life, you find it anywhere.
Right.
All right. We don't even have to go into that. You can find it at any store, any shitbag bar.
I'm assuming most
bar.
of you have had them as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. But again, Miller High Life, check it out. Suck a couple down.
Grab a seat, gather round, join us for a chat. How many locos you at?
All right, folks, you know what that means. How many locos you at, baby?
Yeah, and this one's quite interesting, as we mostly say. This one is Milwaukee, and the authorities say a 37-year-old Milwaukee woman arrested on suspicion of her third DUI had an 8-year-old boy on her lap steering the car.
Gotta grab a grade schooler to drive you home, huh?
Wow.
Not judging.
A Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputy saw the car entering an on-ramp on Thursday afternoon with a child seated on the driver's lap, which we all know you cannot do. The deputy stopped the car and saw that the boy was crying. He told the deputy that he did not want to go to jail. Wow.
That's pretty sad,
That's
actually.
emotionally scarring.
I'm kind of going to drink this one tonight. All right.
The sheriff's office says the driver refused to cooperate with the deputy until the deputy's supervisor arrived. Authorities say the woman was visibly impaired and failed field sobriety tests.
Jesus.
The woman was arrested and jailed with charges pending. The child was turned over to Child Protective Services.
So this one's kind of depressing, man. Like, this is messed up. 8-year-old boy.
It's not our finest, you know?
Yeah, no, this one's kind of just depressing. Like, I just kind of want to drink myself to sleep tonight.
We're not the ones who did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do we got? A late 30s woman with an 8-year-old child driving the steering wheel, right?
Yeah.
She's just hitting the gas and running the brakes here, right?
Yep. Yeah, and... they just mentioned that she failed some field sobriety tests, which, that's about the only thing we have going for us other than her judgment.
CPS getting involved. That's just the sad end of the story here. But
I mean, in my opinion, it's one of those things where we have to think, well, the judgment wasn't there to choose, her 8-year-old son to drive the car with his hands and steer it, because let's just be honest, at 8 years old, there's no way in hell you even know how to maneuver a vehicle.
He's trying
like that,
right?
Of course, but the judgment is the one key factor, I think, in this one for me that leads me to believe or leads me to a certain number.
I mean, I kind of got a number. I mean, obviously, she's just running the gas pedal. She's in her late 30s. She has a few other DUI offenses, so she's not, like, new to the drinking game. Yeah. I mean, I hate to always go to this level, but I think I have my level. I don't know about you.
I have it. I have a number, and I feel very confident in sharing said number.
Okay, what do you think? And then 3.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 6.
14. I was thinking higher on this. I think she's fucked up. I don't think she can drive. I don't think she's I think she's physically impaired. She's not quite the blackout because she's obviously operating, letting her kid drive like, oh, hey, this is fun. Drive me home,
Right.
So, but I don't think she's quite the blackout level, but she does have some experience with the 3, the trace.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, the tolerance probably is there. The judgment was not, she refused to cooperate, but then eventually failed field sobriety tests. So
I mean, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you.
I could see it being higher.
So what do you think? You want to meet in the middle, maybe go like a 10, 11?
I'd feel comfortable at like 10 or 11. Because
will you settle on a 10 on this one?
Yeah.
Let's settle on a 10. I think really she's just drunk. She's having a good time. Oh, come sit on my lap, drive for me. I'm going to handle the gas. Let's have fun.
Right.
But she's like not thinking straight that she can get in trouble for this, and she's drunk with her kid in the car.
Right.
And CPS and felony charges got involved.
I just don't understand.
She didn't want it to get involved.
Exactly. And I think that's the key part there is the judgment to even think that she could potentially
that was the only reason I went higher.
Save herself.
That was the only reason I went a little higher. But I think 10 is a good number. I think a 10 loco.
10 it is.
Do it.
All right, everyone. I'm here with Katie Leinenkugel today. How are you doing on this beautiful Sunday morning?
Hi, Eric. I'm very, very good. Excited that it's sunny and it's shandy season, really.
It really is. I enjoyed a shandy last night. I was out at the Memorial Union Terrace in Madison seeing a band, and I always enjoy a good summer shandy on those nice nights.
It is the perfect beer for summer.
It really is. It truly is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think most of the listeners here know and have heard of the Leinenkugel Brewing Company, but if you would, I mean, can you just give us a brief history of the Leinenkugel Brewing Company itself?
Yeah, it's tough to do a brief history. We are a 154-year-old brewery based out of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, but I'm going to do my best. Yeah. I've got 6 generations to get through, but luckily I don't know much about the 3rd generation, so we get to skip over that. Anyway, my great-great-great-grandfather, Jacob Leinenkugel, came over from Meckenheim, Germany back in 1845, and by in the 1850s, 1860s, his 3 brothers established breweries across Wisconsin. So Baraboo, when one was in Eau Claire, and he happened to work at the one in Eau Claire. It was called Eagle Brewing with one of his brothers. And then eventually he decided, I want to do my own brewery. So he linked up with his friend John Miller, not related to Miller Brewing Company.
Right.
And they started the Chippewa Falls Spring Brewing Company in 1867 in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. And their business partnership would later split up, although they remained the best of friends. They're literally buried next to each other today.
I would say that's best friends.
Yeah, right. So by around like 1890, it became the Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company. Still standing in the same place it was today. We've, of course, done some additions to it. We built the Leinenkugel Lodge in 2003. That's like 50 years old. That's 50 years old. 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 50 years the big building that's still there today. That is our hospitality center and all of that. And I, of course, just jumped ahead all the way to current day. But if I reverse a little bit, there was always sort of three families involved in the Leinenkugel Brewing Company. And, they were the three owners of the company until I believe it was 1988. My grandpa got a letter in the mail from Miller Brewing Company. It was probably like the number 7 brewery in the world at the time, or in the US rather. And he got a letter and he called my dad, who had just exited the Marine Corps and just started working for the company. And he said, Dick, what do you think? What do you think about this? My dad said, well, they're a reputable company, Miller Brewing Company out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't know. I think you should listen to them. What do you think they want, Dad? And my grandpa said, I think they want us to buy them. And that was, of course, not the case. They wanted to buy us. So that was finalized in 1988, 1989. Same year I joined the world. And that's how we became acquired by Miller Brewing Company. Today, we are now owned by Molson Coors, same sort of conglomerate business. And it's kind of where we are today. I realize I just skipped a whole bunch of generations, but if I could just add one piece of history, the women of the Leinenkugel family and of the Leinenkugel brewery are really the superstars. So
absolutely.
Jacob's wife, Josephine, she was in charge very early on, no matter like that, she had 4 kids to raise and a husband that was always gone, but she actually also cooked and cleaned for the 20 brewery workers every single day. So she was the superstar there. And then when we were in Prohibition, it was actually Catherine Meyer and Susan who pulled the company out of Prohibition by refinancing their homes and getting lawyers involved and all of those things. So they were the ones that really got us out of Prohibition, where Jacob's brothers did not make it out of that. And then, my Aunt Kate, who's in the 5th generation, she was the very first tour guide for the brewery.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So kind of all along the way, there's little parts of female history that I'm just super proud of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess every single person, in the family has had some sort of, really important tie with the company in order to kind of get it to where it is today, which is, massive. There's radio ads and television spots, and those are all kind of the pinnacle, I guess you would say, as well as just seeing, a Leinenkugel beer in everyone's hands, whether they're camping or boating or, whatever. So yeah, that's something to be really, really proud of. So,
yeah.
And, you kind of mentioned, that you joined the world in, 88, 89, kind of at a really huge moment for Leinenkugel. But when did you sort of get involved in the business of the brewing?
So I have a pretty, I call it non-traditional background. And I think it's actually something that was kind of instilled in me very early on. And that was to do something else. And my dad would tell you this too. His dad always told him the same thing, is like, do something else. Know that you can be successful in a different field before you join the family brewery. That's always going to be here. So, my dad went into the Marine Corps, and he was he did business with Kemper Sports. They let him run a golf outing in Hawaii. So of course, like, I would do that too.
Absolutely.
Whereas I, after my undergrad, I got my undergrad in Minnesota. Sorry, Wisconsinites. And immediately moved down to Dallas, Texas. I was a teacher for 2 years with Teach for America. And I taught 1st grade. And then, I always thought I was just going to come back up and join the family business, but something inspired me to stay. So I was actually a principal of an elementary school in Dallas, Texas for about 5 years after teaching. And during which time I got my first master's in education, and then I got my MBA at UT Austin. Around that time, I don't know. They say timing is right, and timing was absolutely right for me in that moment to just, after finishing my MBA, it was time to join the company. So I was a marketing intern with Miller Coors. It was Miller Coors at the time, where I worked on Miller 64. That was my first project.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then shortly after that, joined the Leinenkugel's brand team. And I've been in my role now only 3 years. So I'm pretty new to the company still, definitely learning a whole new language, and that's the beer language. But it's been a whirlwind, and it's been so much fun.
Yeah.
So absolutely no complaints.
That's awesome. You literally had like an entire life and
Right.
career before, and you're young. So like, it's crazy to sort of, flip gears and stuff, but kind of being that brand ambassador for the business is really key, because you're sort of the face that, at events and things, people recognize you and all the hard work that you do to sort of, continue to push and kind of show everybody what's new and what's exciting. And
And I gotta say, I'm always a little surprised how people recognize, either my dad or me or whatever. I was at a Milwaukee Brew Fest yesterday, and somebody walked up to the table and said, "Hey, are you one of the daughters?" And I was like, "I don't like. How do you even know that?"
Right.
But I mean, I look like a beer rep right now. Like, I'm
Right.
just pouring beers. So yeah, it's always a little surprising, but yeah, it's a fun kind of role to play.
Yeah, I bet it's got to be kind of weird to have somebody walk up and maybe even just know your name, and you've never
Yeah.
met this person before, but
Right. That has
hey,
happened.
I mean, it comes with the territory, right?
Yeah,
It's,
sure, exactly.
It's a big family name, so
Yep.
and kind of speaking to that, I mean, that's cool in itself. But do you have any other like really fond memories of growing up and being part of that beer family?
Yes. I mean, I have a million memories. So many of them, when you're young, they don't necessarily revolve around beer. They revolve around, the family
Yeah.
that you're surrounded by. But I mean, I have so many memories of Christmases at my Grandpa Bill and Mary Lou Leinenkugel. We would have Christmases there. They would play blackjack, and everybody had a Leine's original. My grandpa actually just like, he passed away when I was in college, but I just have so many funny memories of, the silly person he was. He was always,
Sure.
very serious with my dad and uncles, but with us grandkids, he just was so giggly and funny, and learning more about his life now that I'm older has been really, like hysterical. I guess he loved martinis. So anytime he would go to a restaurant, he would order a martini, but then he'd make sure to also order a Leinenkugel so that he could at least have it sitting at the table with him.
Right.
If people asked what he was drinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, one of my earliest memories of knowing that I was part of a beer family was just, I mean, we knew so early on in our lives that Miller was good and Budweiser was bad. And, anytime we went to a restaurant, we would beg my dad for Sprecher root beer. It's all we wanted because
Yeah.
it came in the bottles,
Yep.
it was so cool. And it was a very rare occasion when he finally gave in and let us have a Sprecher root beer. Because that was, a competition too. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, those are some of my most, fond early memories. I've got a million others: fishing, boating, all the things you do up north Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, just kind of hearing, some of the things that you mentioned, I'm really similar in age. I was born in '88, and same thing. My grandparents owned a bar for a few years, and the root beer in the bottle was literally like
was
the
gold.
treat. It was gold.
Yeah.
And
you're like, I must have been really good today if I get to have
yeah, especially if they
drink
didn't
like
put
an
up a fight.
adult. Right, exactly.
Yeah, that was definitely a part of the kind of the childhood in Wisconsin. Maybe
Totally.
elsewhere, but yeah, it definitely is reminiscent of all the fun and kind of just the innocence of being a kid. So
Totally.
Awesome. Well, hey, is there any sort of events or anything that you'd like to sort of pitch or plug? Anything coming up that we should know about?
Yeah, I'm not sure when this is airing, but I'm actually going to be doing the Quick Trip Takeover.
Okay.
Their social media takeover on August 17th. The week after that, if anybody is up in the Chippewa, Eau Claire area, we are having a launch party for our new collaboration lager. It's our collaboration beer with Hofbrau in Munich, and we'll do like a keg tapping and then a big old party after that. And so that's going to be the following week. I think it's August 25th.
Awesome.
Yeah, so really looking forward to that. We've got just so much exciting things happening, of course, at the Leinenkugel Lodge all the time. You can go online or on social media and stay with that. But also we've got new beers coming out that I am so excited about. I mentioned collaboration lager for the winter. I don't even know if this is public knowledge yet, but we've got a chocolate dunkel coming out. It is so good. Like, I'm not a big fan of dark beers, but my God, this is like such a perfect winter beer.
Awesome.
And then, more secrets that I absolutely can't share yet because they're going to come out in 2022. But we've got some really exciting beers for Leinenkugels to sort of get into. And those are coming out in February of 2022. So stay tuned is what I would say.
Yeah, stay tuned is right. And
yes.
Like you said, social media, stay on top of that stuff because I'm sure that's where things are going to get posted first. And you guys are going to be pushing that out as much as you can.
Yep, and I always try to post as much as I can get away with on my own personal channel. So
awesome.
At Katie Leinenkugel,
Perfect.
If you want some secrets.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, again, I really appreciate you taking the time on this beautiful Sunday, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Eric. I hope you do as well.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
All right, that concludes this episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast.
If you enjoyed this vulgar display of Wisconsin, please like and subscribe on whatever streaming platform you prefer. And remember to hit the bell on YouTube to be notified when we release new content.
Also, if you have any suggestions or ideas for future episodes, please send us an email at widrunkenhistory@gmail.com or head over to our Facebook and Instagram pages.
Thanks again for listening, and remember, as always,
Watch out for deer on your way home.